So yeah, I ported Superman 64 to virtual reality.
In short time, your fate will be sealed.
You're probably assuming I did this as clickbait or a joke game. And yeah, it is funny, but hear me out. First of all, I'm a VR developer and I'm always thinking about how other mediums can translate into a satisfying experience. Everything is better in VR, even Superman 64, and I intend to prove that.
Then there's no time to waste.
Try it for yourself and I think you'll agree that the full square mile of the city has value in and of itself. That's what the practice mode is on my version, by the way, just so you can fly around and appreciate what the original developers did. They added all kinds of things like Star Labs, a university, an airport. They clearly had an open world idea for this game, but the N64 just couldn't handle it. You can't even go to the top of the best buildings in the original game. It's really hard to even see that they're there. Now you can fly to them and it's pretty fun. But that's only half of why I did this. Superman 64 is one of the worst games ever made for a reason. It's a perfect combination of terrible controls followed by lackluster rewards that just fascinate me. It's especially bad in early missions, one repetitive task after another and stressfully tight deadlines. By the second set of rings, most people decide that the only winning move is not to play, and they're basically right. Good games make you feel accomplished. This one makes you feel frustrated in the same way, like that's the goal. It's a good game design inverted, like it's from Bizarro Land. So I've always wondered what would happen if the elements were tweaked. If you change the unresponsive controls, the high pressure air that powers the hurricane, if you will, would the other elements be forgiven, even enjoyed? Let's be clear, I'm not saying it's an underappreciated classic. I'm saying let's put on our lab coats and literally see what happens if we fix the biggest issue. People love Star Fox and it's a ring-based flight sim, right? So maybe there's something here. Okay, I guess I am saying it could be an underappreciated classic, but not in a hipster way, okay? These controls are so bad, I suspect the developers playtested on more powerful hardware using a keyboard and mouse for the entire time. They couldn't have thought this was good enough no matter how tight their deadline was. They probably didn't even check the N64's Trident controller until it was practically burned to ROM, and by then it was too late. So I had these three ideas. Everything's better in VR. This game in particular could use better controls, and meme games are funny. Why not merge all of them together into one project? The nature of VR means I couldn't replicate the bad controls if I tried. A player can physically rotate in their space no matter what restrictions I place on them, so flying through the rings the first time becomes an intuitive process instead of a negative one. So by porting it over to VR, we fix the controls, create an interesting place to explore, and it's a funny meme remaster all at the same time. I think it's a worthwhile use of my week, don't you? So before you go and hopefully download it and try this out for yourself, let's quickly cover some of the differences between this and the original. Since flying is so smooth now, I removed the ability to skip rings. You have to fly through every single one. I also moved the controller in a little, so you have to be inside the ring for it to count. This is to hopefully balance out some of the difficulty. I added buttons on the wrist so they can turn on and off the heads-up display. I was able to perfectly color match the rings, but I really hated it. The idea was that it would be green, yellow, 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 and then gray. But in the actual game, everything looks green because of the fog. So I changed it to be more clear because it was really bothering me. When the cars come to hit the civilians, originally they're actually animated, but I decided to cut that because you can barely see them. Maybe I'll come back and add proper animations later. It depends on if I add more levels. I wanted to keep as much original jank as I could. The car sequence breaks modern immersion conventions a little to keep the mechanic the same. I expect to have to try a few times before you're able to do this, and yes, that does mean you have to start over at the rings again. I added some glowy bits on what's grabbable. That's a luxury, you're welcome. If I was doing this from scratch, I would set it up so that you would have to pick up the civilians and gently set them down to pass this level, but I didn't want to stray too far from the original intent. One thing I will stray from is that there's no health bar, and if I make more levels, I don't plan on adding it. The countdowns and the danger to citizens is enough of a challenge. I will probably make all the powers permanent and have them draw from the central battery that you get from the pickups that are in the same location as the original. Now that this is a first-person game and there's no player model, this lets me remove any reference to Superman and its trademark characters. I understand the confusion that I ported everything but then removed the main character, but he's just not important to what we're trying to do here, and you know how big copyright holders can be. You're now playing as Superhuman 6! I had to change very little to make this possible. Remove the S shield and the health bar, which I was planning on doing anyway, and then create my own cover. I can't draw, so I did it in 3D. But one thing that is significantly different is the ending, or rather I should say it has an ending, when the original one didn't. The original one was only 20 seconds long and is seriously lazy. There's not even a back wall to this set, and they just show that opening on screen. The reason the camera shakes so bad is because they didn't turn it off from the previous level, and to get from that level to this one, you pass through a sign that read, "The End." That sign I kept, but at least I spruced it up a little. Oh, and I added my name to the credits along with the original Tidus developers. I'm not going to show that ending right now because that's going to be your reward for playing my version of the game. At least for now, I might upload it later. So that's the story. 3 maddening mazes and terrible traps are included in this version. I can add more if there's demand for it, but this is as far as most people got in the original, so I think it's a good place to stop. If you end up playing it, let me know what you think. Don't forget this is a science experiment, so data is important. Also, please share it around. I'd love to get the word out. You can expect more experiments on my itch page going forward. I'm going to try to post one every few months, so let me know what you'd like to see in VR and I might give it a try. The next one coming up is the Emergency Convention hologram. It's going to be an in-person activation that actually interacts with you as if it's real. That's all for now, citizen. I must go. There's no time to waste. Up, up, and away!